Good evening, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining us. And we'd like to welcome His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, who's joining us this evening, who will be speaking on the process of Bhakti Yoga. Swami has been practicing the path of Bhakti Yoga for the last 50 years. He's originally from New Zealand.
Not Australia.
From New Zealand, and has been living in South Africa, I think, from 1980.
1980, yeah.
Yes, 1980. And has been traveling the world ever since then, spreading the message and the process of Bhakti Yoga. Swami also hosts many courses and lectures where you can actually graduate and qualify on different topics under the Bhakti Yoga banner. So without further ado, I'd hand over to Swami, who will be addressing us for the rest of the evening.
Thank you very much. Could we put it on this side, or will it not reach? Otherwise we can just move this.
We can move this enough.
And if any of you are Australian, don't mind. It was just a joke. Really, it's just a joke. I have many friends who are Australian. Right. Okay. Thank you. Well, it's very nice. I'm very happy indeed to be here with you all. And that was a really nice kirtan, wasn't it? I mean, at least I felt it was just really nice. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, and yeah, I've got a bit of a background in yoga in general, Bhakti Yoga particularly. As Nandaraj Prabhu said, 50 years, what is it, 50 years, 2 months and 15 days. Or something like that, yeah. Means that I really got into it, really seriously. Before that, I also got a bit into these things, but not really wholeheartedly. Anyway, first thing I'll do, though, I'll just chant a few mantras. If you know them, you can join in. If not, just listen and relax. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, right, yeah, Bhakti Yoga, mantra meditation, what we've been doing. Mantra meditation is part of Bhakti Yoga. I mean, it's part of just yoga in the broadest sense also, but most particularly it's part of Bhakti Yoga. I don't know what was said earlier, but I could just mention very briefly that there are different forms of yoga. The form which is best known in this part of the world, like the Western world basically, Hatha yoga, is very physical. I assume you would know that. It's sitting positions and different physical positions. And the idea is to bring the body, the physical system, in harmony with, the universe, you can say, and you can say God. Yeah, on the physical level, because I'm sure you know it's not difficult getting your body out of harmony. How about getting COVID? I won't ask how many of you had it. Yeah, it's part of the body being out of harmony. And then there's another form of yoga called dhyana, with a D, dhyana. And it means, dhyana actually means to meditate or focus the mind. And so it's mental. And you focus the mind usually on some sound vibration, but other things also sometimes people do. So it's bringing the mind in harmony. And then there's another form of yoga called Sankhya. Sankhya yoga, it's more complicated. Sankhya means to analyze. So it's like an analytical or intellectual form of yoga where one tunes in to things using one's intelligence, analyzing. So, because in the yoga tradition, mind and intelligence, they're differentiated from each other. They're not just, as far as I'm familiar with Western psychology, they're generally considered to be just one thing together. But in the yoga tradition, very ancient tradition, they're distinguished from each other. So therefore, Sankhya Yoga would mean, or the practice would involve analyzing the world and your physical body and all these things, analyzing, and in this way, on an intellectual basis, trying to come into harmony with the greater reality. Then there's karma yoga. I imagine you've all heard the term karma before. These are Sanskrit words. Sanskrit is very ancient language from India, but actually from Southeast Asia. There are many Sanskrit words in the common vocabularies of Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia. Yeah. Because it's really the sort of fundamental language historically of all of Southeast Asia. So, but karma, I think many of you would have some idea at least of what is karma. Action and reaction. What goes around comes around, that sort of idea. In fact, one of my friends many years ago, 30 years ago, he did a painting to illustrate the principle of karma. The painting was, this may frighten some of you, maybe you should fasten your seatbelts, but it was a man with an axe, but he had the head of a cow. And then there was a cow which was tied down, and it had the face of the man, and the same man. And the cow's looking up at the man who's got the axe. And you see the fear and shock in the face of the cow. But you get the idea, right, in terms of karma. Yeah. What you do comes back to you. You know, even the Bible says an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, something like that. And it's true. That principle's there. But now karma, the word karma, has a broader meaning. Like there are different levels of meaning of many Sanskrit words. Yeah, it's not as simple as English. So karma, sort of like the root meaning, the basic meaning, is simply your work. Your work is your karma. So if you, what do you do? He's in finance. He got lots of money. That's your karma. And someone else is a lawyer or, yeah, anyway, you know. And that's all their karma. So there's karma yoga. You can tune into reality via your work. And then, as Nandaraj Prabhu, who addressed you a few minutes ago, said, then there's bhakti yoga, and bhakti yoga is like the culmination of the yoga system, or actually we use the term the yoga ladder. Different yogas are on different levels of the ladder as you step up. And at the top level is bhakti yoga. And bhakti yoga is, in a sense, you could say, sort of like a composite combination. You put all the forms of yoga together: physical, mental, intellectual, and your work, you know, your daily activity. And they all come together in bhakti yoga. But then there's another element in bhakti yoga which is not there in the other forms of yoga, and that is your heart. Your heart, your feelings, your emotions, and ultimately love. It's often called the yoga of love. And that element is not there in these other forms of yoga. Although, I mean, they're all very good in their own ways. They're very good. But bhakti yoga, along with being a combination, you could say, of them all, but it includes the deepest level, really, of our being is our heart. And I don't just mean, the organ which is beating away inside our chests, but our heart in the sense of being the seat of our being and our feelings and our desires and emotions and attitudes, like that. And so in that way, it's really like a foundation of you, really who you are, what you are. So that's there in bhakti yoga, the yoga of love. And in it, a practitioner who, generally we use the term, we call the practitioners devotees, because the underlying mood, love, but devotion. And love, of course, is part of devotion. Devotion for everything, love for everything, even your enemies. Yeah. One of my very close friends, he did a seminar, how to love those who hurt you the most. How's that? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Right. So anyway, I'm not here to really get into a whole exposition about it. But these are some interesting points. And so Bhakti Yoga, in the literatures of yoga, the most traditional, particularly Bhagavad Gita, Bhakti Yoga is recommended. Yeah. The other yogas, they're all great in their own ways, but Bhakti Yoga as a combination and, through the element, the aspect of devotion and love, taking all the other aspects to deeper levels, it's recommended. Yeah, so I've been doing it for 50 years, and very important part of it is mantra meditation. That's what we were doing. Mantra is a Sanskrit word. It means, it's a composite of two words. Man means the mind, and tra means to deliver. Yeah, sound vibration which delivers the mind. We've all got minds, don't we? We've all got minds. And I don't know if it's ever happened to you. Has it ever happened? Did your mind ever play up a bit? Did it ever sort of develop a bit of a mind of its own and go off somewhere where you didn't really want it to go off to, and you had to sort of, sometimes, that's what psychology and even psychiatry is all about. How to deal with the mind when it goes off track. So mantra, man means the mind, and tra means to deliver the mind, but in very natural ways, not like particularly in psychiatry, taking drugs, sometimes quite heavy drugs. My mother, bless her heart, she lived to be 91, but she struggled, as a highly educated person, very intelligent, but she struggled with controlling her mind. And she used to take Valium. Have you heard of Valium? It's one of the strong ones, from what I understand. Yeah. So, but mantra delivers the mind just on the basis of sound vibration. It's really nice. And when I was, I guess, the age of some of you, maybe the younger ones, I also, I was trying to figure myself out, figure life out. And I had accepted as like philosophical authorities people like, would you believe, Jimi Hendrix? I don't know if you heard of him. He was very famous, and he had his own philosophies. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, and all these types of people. I'm from that era. And so they were like my gurus. But don't mind me saying it. Don't tell them if any of them are still alive. Their ideas weren't so good, actually. Yeah, boy, oh boy. So I wasn't so happy as a result. Yeah. Leslie West. Did you ever hear of Leslie West? He just died, actually, anyway. He was a lesser one of them. So, so mantra meditation, I got into it. I sort of dabbled for a while, couple of years, I guess. But then I really got into it in early 1973. And what an experience. Really amazing. And I was just sort of an ordinary type of guy. I was half hippie and half surfer, actually. Yeah, true. And the rest of me was into music, I guess. So So I started chanting, and there are many mantras. There's many, many mantras. I was chanting a few, I think it was like 4 or 5 mantras just as I was beginning. There are many mantras, but out of all the mantras, different, just like so many things, like so many jobs in finance are on different levels, right? Yeah. I remember I worked for 4 years as a journalist. I was a journalist in New Zealand. And you know what? When I first started, I was what they call a cadet reporter. But you know what I did for about the first month until another new one, even newer, came in? I was the tea boy, effectively. Whenever anyone wanted tea, they'd say, "Hey, can you get me a cup of tea?" And I had to do it. So I was doing more running around with tea than reporting. Yeah, so mantra meditation is very wonderful. It's very accessible. It's not like, sort of rocket science or, even hatha yoga, some of the physical exercises. I've done a lot of hatha yoga. Some of them I couldn't do because you got to twist yourself around so much. You got to be like half rubber body. No, really, yeah, so, but mantra meditation is much more accessible because anyone, a child, anyone can do it. And ultimately it can be done anywhere, anytime. Now, we were doing mantra meditation. It was genuine mantra meditation. I know many people in the Western world, when you say to them mantra meditation, they've all got some idea. It's so extremely well known now. But oftentimes, or I would say more or less, practically in all cases, people, when you say, mantra meditation, how it works, what you do, they'll immediately, a picture will appear in their minds of someone sitting like our financial expert here, cross-legged, right? But maybe with hands like this, maybe with eyes closed. You know what I mean? It's a common sort of concept. This is what meditation is. And you just chant some mantra in your mind. But the problem with that, and I did that for some time in my teens, in the late 60s. And the problem with that is, though, that you're trying to sort of focus your mind with the mind. And it can be difficult to do that because, like I said, we've all got minds, and the mind is easily distracted, very easily distracted. So I found sometimes I'd be sitting trying to meditate, and in the next room, someone was playing, the latest rock music sort of thing I was into. And there I am trying to focus my mind, and there it goes, the song. And I would lose it, the concentration. But what we were doing here with audible sound vibration, not just within the mind, but audible, it's much easier to focus the mind because you're coming in to your mind from a higher level. Yes, you're coming into your mind from a higher level. And therefore, sometimes we, some of us, we go out even into the centers of the biggest cities in the world and chant mantras as was going on there, or sometimes sitting down, in some square somewhere, or sometimes just moving through the streets. And, in the middle of, what to speak of Johannesburg, but, New York, London, Paris, Moscow before Mr. Putin went off track a bit there, and so on. Or the big cities, whatever big city you can think of, really, it happens. But through the meditation on the sound vibration, which is more powerful than the mind, then you can be in the center on the main street, and vehicles are going up and down, and people, and there's the shops, and it's just, a bit of a hectic situation. But without having to make some effort like, I must focus my mind, I got to do it. But in a very simple way, you can just become absorbed in the sound vibration. And the world can be doing its thing, but you're in another place, internally, really. We call it sometimes, we call it a Vaikuntha bubble. Vaikuntha means a place of no anxiety. And a bubble, you're in this bubble. And the world is doing all its usual things. Hey, but you're in this very peaceful, satisfied, and very happy bubble place of your own. And all these things that are going on around you can't touch you and don't touch you. And it's really nice. It's just really amazing. And just wonderful. So, what I'm going to do, can you give me another couple of minutes? No problem. Sure. Okay. I tend to sort of ramble on. I've got this thing open here, my computer, which it's not omniscient, but it's fairly close. It's got loads, with a capital L, of literatures on it. And I mean thousands, which I've read, all of them. Yeah, but I want to read a few verses from, very important, medieval, means like it's 500 years old or thereabouts, literature from Bengal called Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I'll read a few verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Adi Leela, the first part, chapter 17, and I'll begin with verse 26, and I'll read a few verses, 3 or 4 verses maybe. First verse, I'll read the original language, which in this case is medieval Bengali, and then I'll just read the English translations. So, right, here we go. Verse 26. Trina haite nichahana, sadalabe nama, apani nirabhimani, anye dibe mana. So, translation. To chant the sacred name always. Well, let me just say, these verses are talking about mood, attitude, state of mind, in that sense, sort of an emotional type of sense, feelings like that, inner feelings. To chant the sacred name always, one should be humbler than the grass in the street, and devoid of all desire for personal honor. But one should offer others all respects. And the next verse, a devotee engaged in chanting the sacred name should practice forbearance like that of a tree. Even if rebuked or chastised, he should not say anything to others to retaliate. And 28, for even if one cuts a tree, it never protests. And even if it is drying up and dying, it doesn't ask anyone for water. Yeah, okay. Thus, a devotee should not ask anything from anyone else. If someone gives him something without being asked, he should accept it. But if nothing comes, a Vaishnava, a devotee, should be satisfied to eat whatever vegetables and fruits are easily available. So there's some food for thought for you. Yeah. Think about these things. It's all deep. It's very deep. Okay. So please think about these things. And shall we do a little more mantra meditation? Is that okay? Yeah. All right. We'll chant the Maha Mantra, right? You know, like I said, I just sort of was touching on a point. There are many mantras. I mean, there's really a lot of mantras. But there's a hierarchy. Like there's a hierarchy in the yoga systems, from body to mind to intellect. And then, you know, your occupation means sort of like your life. And then your everything in Bhakti Yoga. And in between there's some other yogas also dealing with chakras, Shat Chakra Yoga, and various others, until you come to Bhakti Yoga. So in the world of mantras, the mantra world, there's a whole world of them. There are different levels of mantras, and when you come to the highest level, it's called the Maha Mantra. Maha, another Sanskrit word, just means great. The great or the greatest sound vibration which delivers the mind from what? Delivers the mind from all, worldly contemplations and attachments and attractions and aversions and anxieties and etc., etc. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. And you know the words, right? Well, there they are. Gosh. So please join in. I know some of you are already familiar with these things, but it's quite likely some of you are not. You know what I'd advise you to do? It's just advice. Take it or leave it. I would advise you to give it a try. I mean, you came here this evening. You might as well give it a try. Yeah. So, try and get into it. And when the first day, I really tried to get into it. Wow, it was really quite, I would say, a liberating experience. Freedom from anxiety, peaceful state of mind. My spiritual master, he said that in Bhakti Yoga, including mantra meditation, he said, peace of mind is the first installment. It's not the last or the goal, or it's just the first installment. and then it gets even better. Okay, so let's go for it. What should I do? Yeah, okay. And you can follow, right? You can follow, okay? Okay. And you'll have to bear with me, I've got a bit of a post-nasal drip situation at the moment. It's not serious, but it can be a bit of an obstacle. Okay, ready for action. Right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bit higher. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You may sit down.
That Swami has come back. He was here last year as well, and this is his second visit here. We're blessed even further that today is the first evening that we're trying out this bigger space that Howard and Sonika have made available for all of us. So thank you for joining us today, and we've got lots of space to cater to more of you, so thank you for coming every second week and joining us. So please bring your friends, family members that you'd like to share this with. We do this every second Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m. Our next session will be led by Neela Madhava, who's part of our team as well. And every week that we come here, we do different melodies. The style is slightly different. The format is slightly different, and we set different intentions every week when we come here. So we look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you once again for blessing us this evening, Swami, and giving us your presence. If you've made the connection, Swami spoke about bhakti, and which awakens love. And the first part of Swami's name is bhakti. So if we have anything that we'd like to ask today and receive blessings for, it's for the love to awaken within us, so that when we chant the holy names, we can actually experience something deeper than what we have so far. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to maybe speak to us, or we can ask Swami a few questions.